Tim, as you were sharing all the different ways in which youth ministries can, or you have, facilitate the kind of relationships, the kind of communities that fill that void with the experience of God, with unconditional love, with peer-to-peer support, with direct mentoring. One of the most interesting parts of the conversation, I thought, and I know an awful lot of people resonated with this during your lecture, was how you talked about an adventure recovery model, which actually has ancient roots in terms of something we've been doing for thousands of years, walking with young people into experiences that happen to fill the void. Can you tell us more about the adventure recovery model?
Absolutely, happily. So my background in this field has been really rooted in my own adventure. Upon my early recovery, I was introduced to adventure sports as just a way to stay busy. But there was something much more to that. The experiences, what made them so significant for me was it was direct learning from a mentor in my life who had specific skills to teach that had nothing to do with any of the challenges that I was facing on an emotional level, on a family level, on an academic. All of those parts that create the stress in these relationships, it's not even on the table. Hey, would you like to learn how to kayak? Sure. Okay, well, here's how you do an Eskimo roll. I don't know if you've ever been upside down in a piece of plastic, but it can be quite an adventure in and of itself. So the very deliberate, very specific skills that are associated with outdoor leadership and outdoor education are so incredibly powerful and potent in connecting with young people. Wilderness therapy has been around a long time. I say it's actually it is the oldest intervention that we ever have. Young people went through rites of passage in the wilderness alone with very specific structure around them, literally, and elders and mentors always present at any given moment. But they were fundamentally going through that experience alone. Well, what we do is we don't quite take folks, we can facilitate a vision experience, but what we really do is we take people to that edge, and sometimes a very literal edge, say of a rock cliff. And we give them all the tools that are physical. We teach them the harness, the rope, the knots, the hardware. And we make sure that they understand the relevance of all these tools to keep them safe. To have this high-risk experience become less actually risky and much more enjoyable. But you can't duplicate the actual sense of going over that edge. It doesn't matter how much of this stuff you have attached to you, you're still having to trust going over that edge at some point. And whether you're trusting the individual who's got the other end of the rope, or you're trusting the equipment, or maybe you're trusting something a little bit bigger and broader that you don't quite have a finger on yet. There is a magic that occurs, there is an instant that occurs in that moment that I find very impossible to duplicate in any other way. So what do? I seek other outdoor activities and outdoor adventures, and I seek other experiences that can get me as close to those. Just like substances, we go from one substance to another in addiction because we're seeking that initial, that original experience of, aha. Adventure-based activities, adventure sports, outdoor leadership, these are all very innate skills and tools. And the best part about it is it's very easy to sell to a young person who's struggling. That it's not a label, it's not a diagnosis, it's not a sit in a room and talk to an adult that they know nothing about, who knows nothing about them. It's let's go out, and I have a joke, how many kids with ADHD does it take to change a light bulb? Do you know?
No.
Let's go ride bikes. Right? Doesn't matter. Let's go ride bikes, because that's all we care about, those of us who might have ADHD. Let's just go, let's just do. So when I have a young person who's struggling, they might be initially threatened by this guy showing up at their home or at their school or at their institution that they're being called on. But I show up and I say, yeah, what would you like to do? Would you like to go biking, hiking, climbing, paddling? How'd you like to get outside and move your body? Let's go do this. All right, great. And we start always with a very fundamental skill set we use navigation as our fundamental core skill. You have to be able to get to the river, to the rocks, right? Get to the mountain. We want to make sure you understand the fundamentals of navigation in order to do that successfully and repeatedly. So just having that simple tool of a map and a compass, which most young people actually don't know how to use, no offense to them, their parents don't even know how to use them, especially nowadays with GPS. All of a sudden they've empowered themselves in a skill that is actually going to have tremendous resource down the road. And if they don't know, they're not shy about saying it. No, I don't know what this means on the map. Okay, well, I can tell you. So I'm not imposing my information. I'm not imposing my wisdom or knowledge upon the young person. They're naturally seeking it because they want the experience. They're seeking to have, they want to get to those rocks. They want to learn that knot because they want to know it's safe. They want to know how to hold that paddle because they want to make sure they roll back up. So there's really effective aspects of those particular skills that help a young person become self-effective, self-efficacy, right? Something we hear a lot in our educational circles. We want people to have agency. These skills are very natural tools for them to then transform into lots of other areas of their life. Outdoor leadership, Outward Bound, Knowles, these are organizations that have been around a long time. A lot of people who are in positions of leadership today have had those types of experiences directly. The irony of my life experience is when I was 14, my parents threatened to send me to Outward Bound because I was quite a knucklehead. And this is what I do today for a living. I ran away, by the way. I didn't go. So today it's my way of, I believe, most directly affecting young people and that empowering them to be who they want to be through a set of skills that I've acquired over the course of my career that also metaphorically fit brilliantly with this aspect of what is recovery. And by the way, substance abuse recovery is only one form of recovery. We're recovering, human beings are recovering all different aspects of themselves and their community and their humanity and their consciousness of God in their lives daily. So it's a term that I think is pretty universal. And what we found is, even though we set this up as an addiction-specific model, we're getting more and more young people who don't quite fit that particular diagnosis. And again, we're not interested in what the diagnosis is or isn't. We're just interested in whether or not they want to go ride bikes.